And a warm welcome and thank you for keeping it right here on Sunrise at Sea. You're just in time for our views, and this is where we discuss real life conversations. Also, today is a Friday. We are very excited. Joining me on the panel and to my far left is none other than Apollo Sarah, and then I am joined by Agi Uwase as well. Good morning, ladies. How do you feel this morning?
Good morning, Shivan. I feel so good.
I feel good. It's a Friday, definitely.
Okay.
It calls for feeling good and being excited. That's what it should be.
What are you excited
about? The end of the week. I mean, for me, it's always that I get to rest. I mean, I've probably been busy throughout the entire week. So I get to rest and also to catch up with my people.
How about you, Sarah?
The weekend is always the best part of the week, no? Yes.
But
so
does your weekend start on Friday, though?
Mine starts on Wednesday.
Actually,
Weekend?
Yeah.
Oh my.
Our weekend actually does. I thought she was even going to say Monday. Anyway, today we're going to be having a very interesting conversation, and this is actually in regard to the conversation that Sarah, you led yesterday in regard to distribution of inheritance, and this is a continuation. And I know for very many parents out there, it is completely a scary thing when you think about leaving your children behind, especially when you know time is ticking and you know anytime you may say bye to them, and it's very scary because you wonder, will they be able to cope without you? What will their future look like? Who will protect my children? You know, who will tell them that this is a red flag, this is a green flag? Who will tell them, please do not get involved in this? You know, this is how you handle your finances, this is how you handle relationships. So that is why today we are going to be talking about, or we're going to be discussing as a parent, how can you help your child live a successful life? Even when you're normal, even when you're around, it's very important that you educate them, that you help them to make sure that even when you're gone, they are able to live a successful life without necessarily depending on you. So before we get into the conversation, I have a video that I would like us to take a look at. Please watch.
You know, I didn't set out to be a parenting expert. In fact, I'm not very interested in parenting per se. It's just that there's a certain style of parenting these days that is kind of messing up kids, impeding their chances to develop into their selves. There's a certain style of parenting these days that's getting in the way. I guess what I'm saying is we spend a lot of time being very concerned about parents who aren't involved enough in the lives of their kids and their education or their upbringing, and rightly so. But at the other end of the spectrum, there's a lot of harm going on there as well, where parents feel a kid can't be successful unless the parent is protecting and preventing at every turn, and hovering over every happening, and micromanaging every moment, and steering their kid towards some small subset of colleges and careers. When we raise kids this way, and I'll say we, because Lord knows in raising my two teenagers, I've had these tendencies myself, our kids end up leading a kind of checklisted childhood. And here's what the checklisted childhood looks like. We keep them safe and sound and fed and watered. And then we want to be sure they go to the right schools, but not just that they're in the right classes at the right schools, and that they get the right grades in the right classes in the right schools. But not just the grades, the scores. And not just the grades and scores, but the accolades and the awards and the sports and the activities and the leadership. We tell our kids, don't just join a club, start a club, because colleges want to see that. And check the box for community service. I mean, show the colleges you care about others. And all of this is done to some hoped-for degree of perfection. We expect our kids to perform at a level of perfection we were never asked to perform at ourselves. And so because so much is required, we think, well, then of course we parents have to argue with every teacher and principal and coach.
The reason as to why I chose that particular video is because very many times as parents, especially for parents, I'm not a parent, but I know this for sure, that very many times parents want children to act a certain type of way. Parents want children to live up to a certain legacy. Even when you have taught your child, parents still go to the extent of still hovering around, like what she mentioned, sort of micromanaging. You've given someone an assignment, but you're still tiptoeing around them to see if they're actually doing what you have taught them. So my first question would be, for parents that are listening in today, how best can they prepare their children for a successful life?
First of all, yeah, as a parent, it's very easy for people who are looking from the outside in to say that, oh no, don't hover around your child, or please trust them to make the right decision, or don't follow up, don't do this, don't do that. When the clip was ending, she said that parents think that it's their responsibility to have to argue with every teacher or head teacher, you know, always trying to defend their child and whatnot. You see, this is the thing. And many people will take the word of an adult over a child. Like on any day. When you, growing up at school, it was very rare to have to see a parent come in and defend their child against the mis or maltreatment by, you see, either the matron or the teacher or the head teacher. Parents never spoke up for their children. It was always like, yes, even at home I keep on telling her this, or at home I keep on telling him this, and then you go out. But you see, this is the thing. Your number one responsibility as a parent is to protect your child. And by protecting, I don't mean that you smother them and do everything for them, but protect them, defend them. Give them the right or the opportunity to speak up. You get? Not that because the teacher or so and so has said that your child has done this, then now you are going into punishment mode to now start hounding your child and saying this and that. No, give them an opportunity. Be their lawyer, in other words. Yeah? Give them the opportunity to express themselves. Why did you do that? There's a reason why they did that. It could have been because they didn't think it through, or they innocently thought that it was the right thing to do in the moment. Because with choice, we always look for the positive outcome in our choice, whether it is rendered positive or negative. So for me, I am for, you have to lead by example as a parent, number one. Number two, it's very important to allow your child or teach your child to express themselves so that they can speak up against any kind of discomfort or injustice that they experience. And regardless what the situation may be, let them have the opportunity to explain and, you know, say why they did what they did. I mean, we always ask for it when we get into trouble, say with our employers or we're in the police station, whatever the case may be. If an adult is allowed to express themselves, why not a child? Do you get? That is one way that you can prepare your child, by telling them that their feelings are valid. Valid. I felt this way, this is why I acted this way. Okay, you acted that way. Do you understand that?
But did you do the right thing?
Did you do the right thing? Do you understand the consequences and the repercussions of your actions? That is one way. Allow them to speak. And I'm a mother of an 8-year-old who is turning 9. And let me tell you, it's very challenging to being a mom. This is the first time I'm doing it. I was a very difficult one. And mommy, I love you if you're watching. And I'm also so sorry. But now I understand. When she used to tell me that you wait, you're going to have children, you're going to understand. You get? Now I understand. But how I do it is that me and my son always have dialogue every day, even when he does something wrong. Even after I have repeatedly told him to do it and he does, I'm like, we have dialogue. And even can say, mommy, you don't have to shout, like, let's talk about it. Allow your children to express themselves so that when they get older, it is not a problem.
To express themselves.
To express themselves.
That is true.
And to defend themselves. And to also pick out and see and identify injustices within the community. Because see, you may provide a safe environment in your home where you are accommodating and allowing them their rights as a child and a human being to express in your home. But you see, when they get out of your home, you can only do so much to protect them outside their home. At home, you could be encouraging and saying, I'm proud of you, you're doing great. But at school, their teacher is saying you're going to amount to nothing. You get? So it's important to also teach your child to identify toxic traits and say that, and also identify that another person's actions are not an interpretation of who they are as a person. It is very tricky. For us, when I was being raised, or people in my generation, it was spare the rod, spoil the child. They papaed you into line. There was no conversation, there was no negotiation. It was like our parents and teachers were not negotiating with terrorists. Get in line, or you are going, to face the wrath. Exactly.
I like what you've said, and for sure I have met your son, and it's safe to say that he is one of the most expressive children that I have met.
Yes,
I mean, it's very hard to find. First of all, he's a boy. It's very hard to find boys who truly and freely express themselves.
Yes.
And especially since we are talking about today how to best prepare your child, it is very important, especially on the side of the male figures, that they learn how to express themselves. Otherwise, this is how we have the boy child throwing tantrums. We have them punching walls. We have them taking it out even on their spouses. However,
Committing suicide. Let's not forget that.
That's true. So Aggie, what's your perception, or what do you think? How best can parents prepare their children for the future?
For me, basically, it's about instilling the most important values. It can be hard work, it can be respect, all those values that you hold dear or that bring humanity together. You know, teach them those values. Teach them how to be responsible, how to be independent as well. You know, we are living in an era where, by the way, I think before our parents were very hard on us, and I think it's a good thing. Tough love is a good thing, but in this era, there's a generation of spoiled kids that is coming up. I don't know how.
Really?
Yes, because kids are very entitled lately. Like you talk to a teenager, not even a teenager, probably a 10-year-old, and they're very entitled. Well, for me, honestly, I feel it's about instilling values in them and also giving them an education. It's very important. Even when you are rich, because when kids know that I'm from a wealthy family, I mean, my dad is rich, we have a huge estate, we have property, we have a lot of money. Whether I concentrate at school, whether I take my career path as I would want, at the end of the day, I will have the money, you know. So it's all about, even when you have the money to give your children a decent life, at least let them know that, you know what, a day could come and I'm not here. So how do you go about it? And then again, give them, there's one thing that I was reading on, and they talked about, if you want to instill it could be financial literacy or financial responsibility in a child, give them money to use or lose as they see fit. Like, do not tell them how to use that money, and watch how they spend it. And if that's how you get to know whether they would be responsible or not. If yesterday we're talking about inheritance, and that is the only way you can know. If they are spoiling the money, then you have to bring them back on the table and tell them, you know what, this is not how to use money. You have to be responsible. And the other thing for me, I feel, is teach children how to stand up for themselves. I don't know if that's exactly what you talked about, especially the ladies, and also to defend themselves. It's very important. That will definitely help them when it comes to when they go into spaces where they could be potentially sexually assaulted or taken advantage of. For a child who knows how to stand for themselves, a child who knows who they are, they will definitely they will not accept, or they will not be in position to take in what the sexual predators and all those people could do to them. So for me, definitely, at the end of the day, it's about values, instilling those values, and like Sarah said, spare the rod, spoil the child. For me, I believe in, you know, disciplining children by all means.
You said something that I want to briefly comment on. You say that nowadays this generation is raising an era of spoiled children. Listen, if there's something that has been constant, is that there have been horrible people that have been birthed and raised and are still growing up, you know, from generations before us and here. But one thing that I think is making our generation very different from the past one is that we identify our traumas. They call it generational curses. We identify those traumas and those curses, and we want to break them. This is the thing. You will find that a lot of families have in their homes single moms. Your great-grandmother was a single mom, grandma coming down to your mom, and now you are a single mom as well. There's a reason why that is happening. It's because you were not raised in love. You did not see what it was to have a proper relationship, you know, between male and female, or have a proper marriage. And you see, when that is not rectified, then it's going to trickle down into generations, and people are going to say, that is how we are. Oh, we come from a family of generations and generations of strong women. It's not how it's supposed to be. You get?
Okay.
When there are single parent homes that happen, with the circumstances, say, that are besides, say, death of one parent, where, say, one parent chooses to be a single parent. There's a reason as to why. There's trauma somewhere along the line.
Between.
And you can break it as an individual,
exactly,
right?
you can.
You need to take that responsibility.
Exactly, and that is what I'm saying. We see our traumas. We are able to identify them, and now we are correcting them in a way that we do not want to continue this way. You understand? And also, we also see the trauma and the effect that us being beaten had on us. Some people still have physical scars of that and wounds. That has now hindered their ability to express themselves, hindered their ability, their self-esteem, you know, hindered. Then they now feel like they're not good enough. A lot of people are walking around with wounds that you cannot see.
Okay, so as we continue this particular conversation and as we come back, we shall be discussing and looking into the aspect of micromanaging. However, there is a video that Steve Harvey has, and this is what he had to say. Please watch.
You know, I didn't set out to be a parenting expert. In fact, I'm not.
Getting back to that video shortly. However, back to you ladies, and we're going to look into the aspect of micromanaging. And this is something the previous speaker, actually the lady, was saying that for very many parents, and even as we look into successful living, I do believe, or I have seen it, where parents teach their children something, you know, they educate them, they show them how to handle their finances, but at the same time, they tiptoe around them. They go ahead to micromanage. Like, you've entrusted me with something. How about you sit back and watch me do it? What are your opinions on that, even as we discuss how a parent can, you know, plan and better make way for a child to live successfully?
Trust is earned. It's not given. It's not demanded. It's earned. Even for your parent to trust you to go to the kaduka and get what they sent you to get and then come back home. Trust is earned. And a lot of parents do not trust their children. That is why they're micromanaging. But
don't you think that that is already a recipe for disaster if you want your child to live a successful life? I mean, you won't always be there forever.
I understand that.
How long will you continue following them up?
I understand that, but even as a child, even as somebody, as a child or a person who wants respect, you have to act in a way that is going to attract that respect, that people are going to have that for you. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes.
You're not going to expect your parent to trust you with running their business if you have poor accountability skills. Accountability in finances and just personal responsibility. You're always making an excuse for everything. They're not going to give you the trust. They're not going to trust you to run the business. They're not going to trust you to do your homework. If every time you come home and I have to remind you 5 times, go and do your homework, and you're not doing your homework, but trust is earned.
Sarah, I know you are a mom. Is it an issue of trust or is it an issue of fear? Being afraid to let your child out into the world?
I think it's more of fear.
It is more trust than fear. You trust, it's like, I trust that my child is going to do this. I'm not one person who has parenting figured out. Matter of fact, I don't know. You know, every day is a learning process. Every day is something new happens. But you have to trust your child. Say, for instance, if I told my son, when I come back home, I want to find that you have made your bed, you have cleaned your room, you have bathed, you have eaten. And I go home and he has not done it. I go home the next day, he has not done it. I have to remind him. Then I'm not going to trust him. It's going to put me in a situation now where I'm going to be breathing up your neck and like, I told you to do this. And parents, we believe me, we don't want to be stressed. We want to come home and find things are easy. I want to be able, if my child becomes a teen or is now a young adult and you're going to go out, I want to trust that you are going to drink responsibly. I want to trust that you will not drink and drive. I want to trust that you're not going to engage in any reckless behavior.
I don't believe in micromanaging at all. Like I said earlier when I talked about the issue of finances, where you give your child money and let them, you know, use it as they see fit. You just watch them. You don't micromanage them and see how well they will use it or how will they lose it. And then that's where you come in. If probably they've used it well, there's a parable in the Bible of the talents, exactly. So I think it's in line with that, because that is the only way you will get to know if your child is responsible. But now if you give me money today and tomorrow you're asking me, how will you know? I'll probably do what you want me to do. I will not do what I would have done if I had the liberty to do
But
that.
it is
But
yes,
we're bringing
following
in
up.
even a sense of accountability.
Yes,
in
that
instance.
happens in the end. Say if you have given me money for pocket money to go to school, and you have given me, I don't know how much, 100,000, and you see how I use it. If let's say it's before visitation day and I'm calling you and I'm like, money has run out already, that is how you know. And maybe the other child, 100,000, and you come for visitation and like, how much money are you still left with? And I'm probably left with about 40,000. Then that way you get to know if I'm extravagant or if I'm financially responsible. But if you are every other day probably calling the metron or the custodian, to find out how much money I'm left with, how much I'm using the money, then I'll probably be in the fear of, I cannot use a lot of money because my mother is going, to ask me how much I've used. So I will not be me. You will actually not see if I am myself without you. You understand?
Again, it comes down to accountability, and with that comes, you have to give people. What is my thought process even going here? Listen, this is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
You have to trust, to trust somebody to do to trust somebody is to believe that they'll do the right thing, even when you're not there. But you see, this is the thing. What you're saying, that if you keep on calling and calling, it's called accountability. Just like here at work, when you're given tasks and your supervisor is following up with you, it is accountability. I want to see how far you have gone in the project. And when you do share that with me, from there you are picking up that, okay, fine, they are on course.
Okay.
Accountability is okay.
Ladies,
Just to conclude
time
on that, accountability
is not
is
on our
okay.
best side, unfortunately. So as we wrap up this conversation, I'll leave you with a few tips, and then later on we shall be able to, watch the Steve Harvey video that we did not watch earlier. And this is how to help your child live a successful life. The first one is affirm the importance of your role as a teacher to a child. Help your child think of learning as a lifelong process. The third is focus on communication skills as past generations did. Today, children will need effectively to express their thoughts and questions. And we're in an age and era where social media has taken over. The fourth is instill your child the understanding that if they work hard, they can learn and improve in any area. Otherwise, that winds up the conversation that I had for you this morning on our views. But before we do say goodbye, today is a very special day, and one of our very own was born today, and that is Kathy. Kathy is our video editor. She's the one who, dresses the tweets and sends and edits the videos, and she just makes the whole process a lot easier. Happy birthday, Kathy, from the ladies, and I wish you a happy birthday. We love you, we see you, we appreciate you. Do we sing for her?
No, we have no time. Kathy.
Well, we do love you, and that wraps up what we had for you this morning on our views. Keep watching Sunrise at Sea.
TD Jakes said it all, and I cannot, add to that conversation today on our views, and also wraps up the show today on Sunrise at Sea. But until next week on Monday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., be blessed, love your children, take time off this weekend to spend time with them, get to know them, get to know your children. Parenting has no script, and it can get really tricky. But until then, have a great time. For me and the ladies, be blessed, follow SOPs, be kind, and just love, 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 and stay warm too. Wear a sweater, it's very cold. Bye.